Hey, it's Tony Brueski, and this is our week in review over the weekend, taking a look back at some of the most compelling conversations and stories that we've covered for you of the last week. Brand new episodes back Monday morning, bright and early, 5 a.m. here on the podcast.
This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast
with Tony Brueski.
Joining me right now, defense attorney Ari Shamilian, and we were going to talk about Bryan Kohlberg here for a little bit from a defense attorney standpoint. Judge issuing a 37-day stay in the proceedings as of right now, but saying it's not going to affect anything. Maybe the date of the trial starting, but not by much. It's so the defense can take a look at the grand jury material that was used to indict Mr. Kohlberg. Ari, from a defense standpoint, what exactly are they going to be combing through here and looking for?
Yeah, the defense is definitely entitled to see what type of exhibits the prosecution used, any type of photos, any type of lines of questioning they used to get this grand jury to agree to indict Mr. Kohlberg. If the defense finds that the prosecution did anything wrong, hopefully they could use that to get these charges reduced or tossed out, or to minimize any type of exposure Mr. Kohlberg is facing currently.
Well, what kind of things would they be looking for that would have gone wrong? Because one can understand that, there's human error. People can do things incorrectly, clerically and such, but it doesn't necessarily negate charges against somebody or negate what someone is accused of doing. What are they looking for specifically in this?
It could be anything from items that were acquired or seized unconstitutionally. If they violated Mr. Kohlberg's rights in obtaining a piece of evidence and using that to indict him, that could be grounds to argue to say, hey, had the government have not acquired this stuff unconstitutionally, there wouldn't even be an indictment here in the first place. Another thing is if there's potential Brady material, items that are exculpatory to Mr. Kohlberg that weren't turned over to him yet, maybe this request by the defense is going to open that door to begin turning over more pieces of evidence to the defense at this point.
Well, we keep hearing the defense use the word exoneration, and they look forward to this happening, and we're going to present the alibi, but we've not heard any sort of exonerating evidence, and we still don't know an alibi. On the outside looking in, if this is a clear-cut, you can be exonerated sort of situation, would you not have presented that by now? I guess what would be the holdup to getting that information out there to get on with the show?
Yeah, when you have a death penalty case and it's literally your client's hands in your life, you need to dot all of your I's and cross all of your T's. So I think that's what the defense is doing. They're trying to get as many of the prosecution's cards right now. That way they have the whole deck in their hand. And I think right before, they're going to show their hand and say, hey, look, we've got a pair of aces here. So they're building it up, right? They're being strategic. They're gathering as much evidence against the prosecution. And little by little, I think it's going to reveal itself.
But why take so long on something like that is the question. Do you think that they truly do have some sort of exculpatory evidence in their back pocket that they're holding on to for the right time?
I think it's possible that, if you remember back initially when Kohlberg got arrested, he made a statement through his counsel like, oh, he's going to exonerate everything and he had nothing to do with this. And when we spoke last, I told you it's very unusual for a defense attorney to make such a bold statement initially.
Yeah.
Usually when we come out, if we're going to make any type of press statement, we say, hey, we're investigating things. We presume our client is innocent. We want the system to work fairly. That didn't happen in this case. They came out very boldly and said, hey, he's innocent and we're going to prove it to you. We know he's innocent. And that was just very unusual. So I'm curious, just like you are and your listeners, as to what the defense has that's going to be this big bombshell to exonerate Kohlberg.
Well, I mean, in exonerating him, are we saying that this sort of information would come out before a trial even took place? Would it have to wait till a trial to exonerate him if it's such an obvious piece of evidence?
Not at all. It's up to the defense. If the defense has some type of bombshell evidence that proves Kohlberg was not involved in this at all, They could present it to the prosecution at any time, and the prosecution, in the interest of justice, can dismiss the charges against Kohlberger. That could happen anytime. As to why the defense hasn't presented that, I don't know. It could be, for the reasons we discussed earlier, strategy. They want to get all the evidence before they show their cards, but they could definitely present what they have now to the prosecution.
I guess, the easy way to answer the question of why haven't they done it yet, and I guess the easy way to look at it would be because it doesn't exist. I guess I'm still struggling to understand if they have this, if they're making this sort of statement, what would be holding them back?
Yeah, and maybe there's a piece of evidence that the defense doesn't know how to explain at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest piece of evidence they're going to have difficulty trying to get an explanation for is the DNA of Kohlberger being on a knife cover that was located in one of the victim's rooms.
Well, yeah. I don't even know quite how that will be argued on top of adding in the other factors of the cell phone pinging to the house, the fact that the cell phone actually got picked up on the local Wi-Fi to the house at the time that we're looking at for these murders, and his phone being turned off. There's just a lot of things here that he would really truly need to answer for to be exonerated, unless he has, a video and many witnesses of him being somewhere else at that time, and somebody stole his phone. I don't really know any other way that this is going to be going down the road of exoneration other than trying to find some sort of technicality to get this thing dismissed or to get certain pieces of evidence taken out when it comes to trial.
Right. Well, at this point, the defense has made these claims that they're going to get him exonerated, and they have something that's bombshell to exonerate Kohlberger. So we're going to have to wait and see. Either they're bluffing it or it's something legitimate that they have.
You're locked into the Hidden Killers podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts, and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member, exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast, dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.